We are back up and running on the latest edition of Birds Weekly, presented by the Inside the Birds Network. For Ray Didinger, I'm Derrick Gunn, and Eagles are coming out of their bye week, and it's time to get back to work for a rigorous schedule that lies ahead. But they didn't stay idle over their bye, did they? And, Howie Roseman being Howie Roseman, my goodness, it all starts. He goes out and get a cornerback in Michael Carter. Then over the weekend, he decides to add another corner, and he picks up Jair Alexander from Baltimore. And, oh, by the way, just Monday morning, word spreads rapidly that he also has added a edge rusher in Jalen Phillips. And Ray, we know how he is not one to sit still, but all I can say is wow, in terms of how he's adding defensive help to get ready for the last 9 games of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, it might have been a bye week for everybody else, but it wasn't a bye week for the general manager. He was hard at work, as he always is. And that's one of the things about Howie. I mean, he's never a guy that just sort of sits back and says, we're good. I mean, he's always scanning the board. He's always looking around the league to see if there's somebody out there that could come in and help in a particular area. And look, I think we talked about it. Everybody talked about it, that this team, they needed help at that other corner.
Yep.
It's been true from week 1. Heck, it's been true since the summer, to be honest with you. And the thing that has been another problem is getting consistent pass rush, finding a pass rush off the edges. It has not been there. And so, okay, he addressed both of them right now. And I know there was the pie in the sky conversation about Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I know there was the pie in the sky conversation about Trey Hendrickson, who are elite players at the pass rush position. But you and I talked about it. I mean, it wasn't going to happen. I mean,
no.
the price that you were going to be, I mean, they're talking about 2 first-rounders, 3 first-rounders. That wasn't going to happen. But the need was still real. And so Howie went out and made the deal for Jalen Phillips, who's a former first-round draft pick of the Dolphins, and a guy who has shown when he's been healthy that he is a very good pass rusher. And now the Eagles bring him in here and add him to the mix with the return of Brandon Graham. And hopefully you're a better team now going into the second half of the year than you were 2 weeks ago.
Phillips, 6'5", 265 pounds. He has 3 sacks this year, 25 tackles. Ray, you're right. Coming off that edge, he will definitely be an upgrade if he can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But go back a few years. You did a scouting report on him the year he came out of college. And what did your scouting report tell you about him?
Well, I went back and I saved all of these things.
I know you do.
And they come in handy. I went back and I still had my 2021 notes when he came out. And I had him as my number 2 pass rusher in that entire draft. I had Gregory Rousseau was my number 1, but I had Phillips as my number 2. And even then, the only question about him was the injury factor.
Yeah,
he had started his college career at UCLA, finished up at Miami, and had a broken wrist. He had a knee injury. He had I had forgotten this until I went back and reread my notes, but he had multiple concussions when he was at UCLA, to the point where the doctors who examined him urged him to not play football anymore. Now that's going back to UCLA, and he said, no, I want to keep playing. And he did keep playing, transferred to Miami, played very well, and worked his way up to where he was the 18th overall pick in that draft coming out. I mean, an elite player. And if you look back, and I went back to my notes from the combine workout, here's a guy who's 6'5", 260 pounds, ran a 4.5 40 with a 36-inch vertical. I mean, a rare athlete without question. But then he came into the NFL, and the injury problems continued. Knee injury, torn Achilles, It's been when he's been able to play and when he's been healthy, he's been a productive player and a very good pass rusher with a lot of natural skills, learned how to use his hands, is extremely quick off the edge, but is actually very effective slanting inside on loops and stunts. If you can get him looping inside and a guy with his athletic ability matched up on like an interior lineman, he'll win that all the time. And that's how he's been used. Real versatile, but the problem has been dealing with the injuries. Now, he's been healthy this year. And one of the things that if you're an Eagles fan, you got to feel good about is he's coming in here playing good football right now. I mean, his 3 sacks were in his last 4 games, had 20 quarterback hurries in that time. He's coming in right now, playing healthy and playing well. And if he can continue to do that, and look, Vic Fangio knows him because Vic coached, he was a defense coordinator in Miami a couple of years ago when this kid was playing. So Vic knows him. He knows his strengths, knows his weaknesses, and probably already has and Vic signed off on this. So that tells you he already has a pretty good idea of how he wants to play this guy. And if he can stay healthy, he can improve you in an area where you need improvement.
My goodness. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and now Jalen Phillips. What a formidable defensive front compared to what they had the first 8 games of the season. Now, we also knew they needed significant help on the back end of this defense. They go out last week and get Michael Carter from the Jets. And then over the weekend, they had an interesting one in Jair Alexander. And Ray, I'm from the great state of Wisconsin, as you know, and born and raised in Milwaukee. So I've followed the Packers my whole life. And, from my perspective, Ray, it's somewhat perplexing they added him. And so I reached out to a couple of people in the know in the organization. And I said, why him? And they told me that they're bringing him in to see if he has anything left. Now, he had a knee injury. His last few years, he's been injury prone. He had a knee injury in training camp with the Ravens. He only played 2 games with the Ravens, and the Ravens decided to let him go. Were you surprised that they decided to add Alexander? I mean, even though we knew they needed additional help on that back end?
No, it's just taking a shot. That's it. Okay. I mean, and it may end up being nothing. I mean, the Eagles have had, and Howie has done some stuff at the trade deadline in past years that kind of went nowhere. I mean, Robert Quinn, was a guy who had history, had some success as a pass rusher, but came here and gave you nothing. And also in the defensive secondary, Kevin Bernard. You remember they got him at the trade deadline a couple years ago. A guy that similar background, had been to Pro Bowls, had been a really good player. Bring him in, he'll probably help us. Not really. You just never know. I mean, sometimes these guys come in and have real impact, and then other times, guys that move at the trade deadline generally are these kinds of guys. That there are some issues, and you're just hoping that maybe change of scenery, different coaching system, different philosophy. He can tap into the talent that the guy had at one time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think the Eagles look around right now and they see where they are. They're 6-2. They're right in smack in the middle of a wide open NFL. They have a shot, and the two areas that they needed help was they needed to find somebody who can help out on the corner to shore up that area. And they needed another pass rusher. And there were no sure things out there, but they're willing to take the shot. And now you just sit back and see. Phillips, I'm encouraged by the fact that he has been playing this year, has been playing well. And right now, coming into this stretch, was playing his best football. And if he can come here and continue to play that way in this defense, I mean, you're looking at a defensive line. Let's face it, if they could line up in Green Bay with all number ones on that defensive line. Carter's a number one, Davis is the number one, Phillips was a number one. BG coming back, he was a number one. I mean, you could be lining up next Monday night with 4 first-round draft picks, and
That's wild.
Maybe they play to their pedigree.
Hey, it's Jeff Mosher, and if you have a family and kids at home like me, you always want them to be fully protected. That's why I'm thrilled to be a Simply Safe customer, and our house is equipped with the most technologically advanced alarm system you can get. If you could actually stop someone from breaking into your home before they got inside, why wouldn't you? Traditional security systems only react after a break-in, but Simply Safe is different because it stops crimes before they happen with Active Guard outdoor protection. Their AI-powered cameras detect threats while they're still outside your home, and they alert real security agents. These agents take action while the intruder is still outside and confront the intruder to let them know they're being watched on camera and police is on the way. And that's how you stop a crime before it's committed. There's no long-term contracts or hidden fees. You can cancel anytime, and it comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Try it and see the difference for yourself. Do not miss out on Simply Safe's biggest sale of the year, 60% off. Our listeners get 60% off a Simply Safe home security system at simplysafe.com/bird. That's simplysafe.com/bird.
Well, Ray, if Carter works out and if Alexander sticks, that means the Eagles have like 8 or 9 defensive backs. They're not keeping all of them. So who's the odd man or odd men out, so to speak? I would imagine we start with Adoree Jackson being one of the odd men out.
That's what I would guess. I mean, I don't think you want to give up on Ringo at this point because he's young and he certainly is talented. I mean, we all agree on that. He just needs development. He just needs to improve. But Adoree Jackson at this point is a guy who's bounced around, been with multiple teams. Adoree kind of is what he is, and whereas Ringo, I think they still have, and realistically, I don't blame them for thinking this, has a chance to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I mean, I don't want this to sound like wishful thinking, but I mean, if you go back and you look at the tape of the Giants game, I thought Ringo played pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
When he was on the field, I thought this was, just looking at it objectively, I thought that was encouraging. That now the Giants don't have, he wasn't playing against CD Lamb or he wasn't playing against elite receivers in that game. But I thought that he looked better in the last game than he had before. So yeah, if there's an odd man out, it would probably be Adoree Jackson.
Mm. Well, the Eagles are now preparing to face the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football at Lambeau Field, historic Lambeau Field. And Ray, this Packers team, I just can't figure out. They lose on Sunday to a team in Carolina they should have beaten up and down the field. They outgained them in yards. They were 1 for 5 in the red zone. You're not going to win many football games if you can't convert in the red zone. But they've lost to Cleveland by 3 points and now Carolina by 3 points. And Ray, did we overestimate how talented the Packers could be? I mean, they take Pittsburgh to the woodshed in the second half of that game a week ago. Pittsburgh turns around and beats Indianapolis on a crazy NFL Sunday where we saw the Colts, the Lions, and the Packers all lose. Did we overestimate this Packers team, which is still the youngest overall roster in the National Football League?
I think that's kind of it. I think they're a very talented team, but they are very young. And I think sometimes young teams have highs and lows.
Yeah.
And maybe I was kind of with you. I think when you and I talked week 1, looking down that long road of the season about where it was all headed, Eagles are the defending champs, but we kicked around the question of who's their biggest threat in the NFC. And I said the Packers. I really did. Because just the talent on the roster they've got a lot of really good players. And you're projecting how much Jordan Love is going to improve and develop over the course of the season. That's kind of a projection. But I kind of felt very strongly about the defense. It's a young, fast, physical defense, and you add Micah Parsons to it. To me, the Packers were the most dangerous team, and they may yet still be. But I think because of their youth, they're going to have these periods of inconsistency. And boy, did you see it yesterday. Oh my goodness. I mean, how in the world, as a 2-touchdown favorite playing at home, it was almost a no-show kind of game. It really was. I mean, I didn't even know Micah Parsons suited up for this game.
Same. I couldn't agree with you more.
And you would have thought going into it that this was a game that he would dominate, and it was a total no-show. Now, we both know Micah Parsons well enough to know that he's going to show up for Monday Night Football, because when the lights come on, he's that kind of player. So you're not going to get that. And plus, he's getting burned pretty big time out there in the media for playing as poorly as he did. So he's going to definitely show up ready to play in that game. But did we overestimate? Did we oversell the Packers? I guess I'm guilty of it because I did say I thought they were the biggest threat to the Eagles, and they may yet prove to be. But what you saw yesterday, losing at home as a 2-touchdown favorite to the Carolina Panthers, listen, there's a lot of criticism being directed at Matt LaFleur by the Packer people. Packer Nation is not at all happy with the head coach right now. And there's a lot of that chatter out there. So the people in Green Bay, the Packer fans, and there's a lot of them, heck, you were one at one time, they take this stuff pretty personal. And they're unhappy with where the Packers are right now, losing that game, because I think they, too, expected more.
I watched LaFleur's press conference on Sunday, and one of the first things he said was certain play calling was on him. This Packers team seems they can't get away from these bubble screens, and they're not working in a lot of cases. And it has been an outcry in Packers Nation for quite some time that Matt LaFleur, with his conservative approach to offensive play calling, is the reason why the Packers have not taken that next step to the next level. And now people are just screaming, take the play calling away from LaFleur. Well, Ray, as we all know, if your head coach is a play caller and he's handcuffing the offense, that offense, I don't care how much talent you have, it ain't going anywhere.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. And this was a game where, they moved the ball. I mean, they had almost 400 yards total offense. But you said it earlier, was they got down inside the 20 and just stalled out. They settled for a couple field goals, turned the ball over on downs once, and then just turned it over another time and Love is a very talented player. I mean, he really is. You watch him on a day when he's feeling it and he's got it going, man, he'll just stand in that pocket and he will throw darts, but then he'll have these other times where he just I don't want to say if it's regressing, but he just kind of like loses his feel out there, and he does stop seeing the field for some reason, or he starts to force things. And the interception that he threw, the deep ball interception that he threw, that's one that just has you shaking your head like, what are you thinking? You can't throw that ball, and that's when you're a rookie and you make that mistake. Okay, you write it off as a rookie mistake. But at this point in his career, he shouldn't be still making those throws, but yet he does. But is the talent there? There's no question the talent's there. And if the Eagles are going to win this game, and I still think it's going to be a really tough game for the Eagles. I really do. And Packers aren't going to play that badly 2 weeks in a row at home. That ain't happening. But they're going to have to find a way to get pressure on Jordan Love, because if they let him feel comfortable in the pocket, you could be in for a real long night.
He cannot get away from that rainbow ball, the deep ball you're talking about. He throws it in triple coverage. You have to be smarter than that. And he underthrows it on top of that. So basically, it was a punt. And then there was another play in the game where he spun away from pursuit and extended the play for like 5 to 10 seconds. When he finally throws one of his rainbow passes to the end zone, it's a Carolina defender standing there, and the defender dropped the ball. And you're thinking, why has this not been coached out of him after all this time that he's had to be a starter? And, you're right, Ray. He seems like he look how he tore apart that Steelers defense in the second half, and he comes back and plays down to the level of Carolina. Now, Carolina was a decent defense. I believe they were ranked 11th or 12th, but they were not a great defense. But yet he played down to the level of competition, and he continuously does it. He did it against Cleveland, although, of course, when you face a Myles Garrett, that's a little bit different. but he plays down to the competition, and for whatever reason, Packers coaching can't seem to get that out of his system.
I know, and I'm sure it's exasperating for them because you've seen him when he's really good, and he's really good. But we've seen it with other young quarterbacks, and in some cases, it's a matter of just maturity.
Yeah.
In other cases, it's a case of being coached out of it, as you said. But he's capable of playing like one of the top, like a top 6-7 quarterback in the league. He really is. On a good day, he looks every bit of that.
Yeah.
But then you have days like yesterday where you just walk away shaking your head and wonder, is this really what this kid's career is going to be?
Mm-hmm.
This is what he's going to be. He's going to be a guy who's going to be really good for a couple games and then have games like this, because it's really hard to win a championship when you have that kind of quarterback play. I mean, you need that. You can't have a guy making those kinds of mistakes. And early in the season, I kind of had a feeling that maybe he was past that, and he was ready to take that next step to be a championship level quarterback. And then you have a day like yesterday, and it leaves you wondering. And the other part of it is talking about the landscape of the NFC is the Detroit Lions. They lose at home to the Minnesota Vikings, playing with J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't played in basically all year. I mean, it sort of gets back to what we talked about over the last couple of weeks, is just how crazy and wide open the whole NFL is right now. And everything that kind of happened yesterday actually kind of favors the Eagles.
Yes.
I mean, if the Eagles are sitting home, just sitting in their chair, with a drink and some nachos, and everything that you wanted to go, everything was breaking your way. It sort of makes you think, if you're an Eagles fan, thinking, what, maybe this is the indication, maybe it's our year again, because everything that you could have hoped for yesterday just fell right in your lap.
Hey, I still like a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink, and that's why I looked for a great alternative, and I found one. It's called Sol's Out of Office Gummies. You get the same light, happy buzz, but you don't have the hangover. There's no sugar, and you don't get that awkward feeling the next morning. They help me unwind and ease into my evening without the alcohol or the next day fog. Sol is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Sol specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance your creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strengths, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe. From a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. They've also got a variety of products specifically designed to help you get a better night's rest, including Sol's top selling sleep gummy, a fan favorite for deep restorative sleep. So bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Sol today. Right now, Sol is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getsol.com and use the code BIRDS, BIRDS. That's getsol.com, promo code BIRDS for 30% off.
You were talking earlier about how the Packers roster, although it's young, is deep in talent. And boy, did their talent level take a significant hit losing Tucker Kraft, who was basically number one among tight ends in receiving yards and touchdowns this year. Basically an ACL tear, done for the season. That is a huge blow to the overall structure and fluidity of that Packers offense. Wow.
Yeah, that is a massive loss. I mean, you mentioned the stats, 6 touchdowns. He also was number one by leaps and bounds in terms of yards after catch. I mean, he was catching a lot of balls, and then his yards after the catch numbers were huge. I mean, and there were some other tight ends out there that are good yak guys, including Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
But Kraft was way ahead. I mean, that was the thing about him that really set him apart, and was having a great year. And he had really become a key player in their offense, and certainly a guy that Jordan Love relied on.
Mm-hmm.
And to lose him now, that's a big, big loss. I mean, they don't have. I don't know where they go now, but they're not going to get anybody that's going to come in, step right in now, and for the rest of this year, give them the kind of production that Kraft was giving him. I mean, he was playing at an elite level.
If there's one area of the Eagles, or should I say the Packers defense, that the Eagles offense will be studying closely is their run defense. I mean, this was a defense that was pretty stout against the run for much of the season. All of a sudden, they give up 163 yards to Carolina. And, you know, when you take into consideration that running attack that the Eagles had the last game, you know, guys like Saquon and that Eagles offensive line are salivating at trying to pound the football against this Packers defensive front. And what was really shocking was Carolina had a lot of success running right at the middle of Green Bay's defense, which hadn't happened much for opponents this season.
Yeah, I know. I think one of the things that people sort of underestimated in when the Micah Parsons trade went down was everybody just thought about the one aspect of it, which was, oh boy, the Packers, they're adding Micah Parsons to that defense. Well, to get him, you gave up Kenny Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I know he wasn't necessarily the sexiest name among defensive players in the NFL, but if you really study the game and week in and week out, Kenny Clark is a really good player in the interior of that defensive line. I thought one of the better interior players in the entire NFL. So, I mean, a lot of people who are just casual fans, he was just a name in the transaction. I think they gave up Kenny Clark. Oh, they got Micah Parsons. Well, they gave up Kenny Clark. And I think yesterday was a day when you saw how much they miss him inside. You know, Gary, who can be a really good player, was sort of another no-show yesterday.
Yep.
And, you know, along with Micah Parsons, it was just a game where, you know, teams have these games, Gunner. I mean,
Yes,
where they just maybe it's the look-ahead factor. You know, maybe they see it's Carolina coming in here. You know, we're 13-point favorites. You know, we got the Eagles game coming up here. That's a really big game in the NFC. I think players, even though, you know, people sometimes don't think it, but players, they do kind of look ahead sometimes, and they trip themselves up doing that. We see it. There are games that you just say, how did that happen? Well, it happens, and it happened to the Packers yesterday, but you're going to have their full attention next Monday night. No question about that. But the fact that Carolina was able to run the ball as well as they ran the ball in this game, that was key here. That was key here because you got the quarterback was just coming back. He hadn't played in a while.
That's right.
And so the fact that they were able to run the ball successfully and keep him out of a lot of third and longs, I mean, allowed them to make the plays they needed to win a game that nobody thought they could win.
Well, while the Packers are reeling from the loss of an incredible tight end, the Eagles spent their weekend loading up. As we talked about off the top of this podcast, they added Jalen Phillips, Michael Carter, now Jair Alexander. We give Howie Roseman credit for being the premier GM in the National Football League. But let's face it, unless he gets the green light from the owner, Howie can't make a lot of the moves that he has made over the last several years. And speaking of Jeffrey Lurie, as you brought to my attention, on Thursday night, he's being inducted into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. And Ray, I think when you look at what Jeffrey Lurie has done during his ownership of the Philadelphia Eagles, he has always been committed to winning. A lot of times it didn't work out the way he wanted, but boy, in the last several years, it has really come to fruition. He is a man committed to the community in terms of what he gives to the community and has his players out there helping to do in the community. I think this is an incredible honor for an owner who has been committed to excellence with his organization.
Absolutely. And you said it very well. Jeffrey's been all of that. And when I think back, and it's going back a long ways now, it's like 30 years since he bought this team. He's without question the best owner the Eagles have ever had.
Okay.
And if you're talking about owners in Philadelphia, people that have owned any of the teams, you know, I mean, Ed Snyder is kind of the guy that everybody kind of looked to because, I mean, he created and built the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's a whole different thing. Jeffrey didn't build the Eagles. I mean, they were there. He bought them. Ed Snyder created the Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Ed Snyder always has to be in that conversation among the best owners. But as far as this franchise goes, it's no question. And what I remember when he first came in here in '95 and bought the team, none of us knew who he was, what he was about. The one thing everybody agreed upon was everybody was glad to be rid of Norman Braman.
Yeah.
Everybody was happy to see Norman Braman leave. But we really didn't know what we were getting. And there was a lot of questions to be asked about Jeff in the sense that he was the first owner of the Eagles who wasn't from Philadelphia.
That's right.
I mean, everybody that else that owned this team were from Philadelphia that had grown up with the Eagles and lived and breathed it. Jeffrey was coming in. He was guys coming in from Boston. He was a Patriots season ticket holder. He rooted for the Celtics and the Bruins. And now he's going to come in here and own the Eagles. I mean, there was a lot of people, yes, happy to be rid of Norman Braman, but what are we getting with this guy?
Yeah.
And remember, there was a lot of talk about because he was a movie guy and he had a studio in Los Angeles that I'll bet he's going to take the Eagles. He's going to move them to LA. Well, Jeffrey came in and right away he said a couple of things. He said, "Look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be this is going to be my home. I'm going to make Philadelphia my home. This is where I'm going to be." And he's been true to that. He said he was going to come in and he was going to be an active part of the community. He was going to be involved in the community and do good work and be involved in charities. And he has done all of that. And the other thing he said was, "I'm coming here to win."
That's right.
And Norman Braman, he loved the money. He loved the power. He loved the visibility. But, he wasn't really all that committed to winning a championship. If he did, that was fine. But, I mean, he was about other things. Jeffrey was all about winning. And he's come here, and boy, has he won.
Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting. And they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up.
Since the year 2000, they've been in 8 title games. They've been in the conference championship game 8 times. And if you go back that same period of time, they've won 11 NFC East titles, and they're on their way to winning another one. It's going to be an even dozen at the end of this year. And that's just about as many as the other 3 teams combined.
Yep.
So Jeff has made good on every promise, and he built the Eagles up into being not just a good team, but one of the elite teams in the National Football League. And so, yeah, I'm happy for him. I mean, he belongs in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. And this week he's going to have the night where he's going to accept that honor officially.
Well, congratulations, Jeffrey, on an accolade well-deserved. And, of course, can't wait to see this matchup come Monday night at historic Lambeau Field. Eagles against the Packers, two long entities in the National Football League. And this game could go a long ways in determining home field advantage come playoff time. So I can't wait to see how this one plays out. So for my colleague, Ray Didinger, I'm Derrick Gunn. This has been Birds Weekly, presented by the Inside the Birds Network. We'll talk to you later, everybody.